For those of you who do not know me, my name is John Tabor. I'm the Director of Training here at UDS. There's a little bit of my background. I'm starting to meet more and more people in the UDS universe, so hopefully if we haven't met, we'll get an opportunity to meet in the near future. I've got Paul Schultz with me in the office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard.
And Paul will be jumping in whenever he feels like it to comment and add some color, hopefully.
His comments.
Yes.
His commentary.
All right.
Along with Spiro T.
Oh, Spiro T's with us as well, so shout out to Spiro. This slide is an interesting slide. So much to do in so little time. In F&I, we are constantly dealing with a lot of stuff. And, there's a saying that you can't manage time, but you can manage the tasks and you can prioritize your time. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is prioritization of our time in F&I. My question to the group is you sometimes feel like you spend all day in F&I managing one crisis after another, or better yet, have you ever had one of those days where at day's end you feel very tired, very drained, but you didn't make any money? Anybody ever feel that way?
No.
No, not one person. That's great. I think we've all felt that way at one time or another.
Or many times. Many times.
And on those days, chances are you're spending most of your time on the urgent and very little of your time on the important. And go ahead.
This is not in there? No.
Is that a question? No.
You did it? Yeah, when you get distracted on the...
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Important or urgent? Well, important activities are the ones that have an outcome that help us achieve our goals, whether they're personal or professional goals, it doesn't really matter. But these are important. And urgent are activities that demand our immediate attention but aren't always important. And they're really, most of the time, associated with helping somebody else achieve their goals or their priorities. Unfortunately, these are the ones we concentrate on because they demand our attention, and the consequences of not dealing with them are immediate. So this is a pretty famous quote, and I'm curious if anybody knows who said this. But what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. Anybody have a guess of who that was?
Anybody?
Anybody at all?
For a $5 bill, can anybody come up with the correct answer? I guess not.
All right. Well, that person is Dwight D. Eisenhower, and
okay, here's the 5.
Yeah, here's the 5. Yeah. And there may be some, hopefully everybody knows who Dwight Eisenhower was. He was the Allied Supreme Commander of forces in Europe in World War II. He was also President of the United States in between Truman and Kennedy. And his job description during World War II was saving the free world, so he was kind of a busy guy. And he had a lot of information coming at him. He had a lot of people demanding his attention. He had a lot of things that he was asked to put on his schedule. And he had to come up with some way to prioritize these things. And he came up with something called the Eisenhower Matrix. And you may not have heard of that, but chances are you may have heard of a guy named Stephen Covey, who in the 80s, 90s, and beyond has made a fortune by helping people get organized. And he took Eisenhower's Matrix and and changed it a little bit and built upon it to get into the Stephen Covey material. So, what is it? In F&I, we have to kind of make a decision every day. And what we're going to be talking about here is how to decide whether it's just urgent or if it's important or both. And this is what the matrix looks like. If you take a look at it, it's broken down into 4 categories: important and urgent, important, not urgent, not important and urgent, and not important and not urgent. And the problem is that how do you decide what the difference is? So let's take a look at them and we can talk about it a little bit. The first one is important and urgent. and I can see that that got cut off a little bit. But what it says is that tasks in this box are urgent and important, and they require immediate attention, and they usually work towards us fulfilling our long-term F&I goals. You know, in our world, we talk about 1350 PVR and 2.0 PPR. Some of the things in this area are, you know, we introducing ourselves to a customer, presenting a menu, talking to the desk, getting a call back on a waiting deal, maybe getting a deal billed. The printer just ran out of paper and the GM wants to talk to us. You know, some of these tasks can be removed from this by some prior planning, because we really want things in this box to be towards a deal, all about a customer that's in front of us right now and making a deal happen right now. Certainly we can either build deals right after the customer leaves the office, or set aside a specific time where we can keep up and keep up on billing our deals. You know, if the GM wants to talk to us, maybe we could schedule a time and say, listen, I've got people waiting to get in. Can I talk to you at 3 o'clock or 3:30, and schedule a time to speak to them? And, you know, if we get organized every day when we come in and we have a checklist before we get started, you know, chances are we won't run out of paper in the printer, and we don't have to do that in the middle of a deal or when we're really busy and have people waiting. So some of these things we can take off the important and urgent. We may not be able to take everything out of there, but if we spend a little time, less time in Q1, we might be able to spend more time in Q2, and I want to show you why that's important. Tasks that are not urgent but important. And these tasks don't have to be, you know, they don't have pressing deadlines. They don't demand our immediate attention. But when you look at what's on this list, you can see that they contribute most to our growth in F&I and our professional growth, as well as income growth. And some of the not urgent but important tasks are planning, you know, evaluating our F&I log to see where we can do better based on benchmark, training, participating in webinars and growing our knowledge, spending time at the sales desk, staying on top of product changes, videoing our presentations for self-evaluation, and marketing products outside the F&I office, and following up with our F&I customers. You know, they're not demanding our immediate attention, like I said, so we tend to move them down our priority list. You know, I know I need to do these things. I know that they're important. I know that there's a big benefit to me if I do it. I just had a group of people that were here for a 5-day F&I certification class. You know, and they took 5 days out of their work to work on themselves. You know, and that takes a sacrifice and commitment of time and resources to do that. But everybody in that class was wanting to get better at what they did, so they were willing to spend the time to do it. So we've got to prioritize, because if we don't, these things fall down to that maybe later list, and later doesn't come. In F&I, we have a present bias. And what I mean by that is that we have a bias towards right now. What's coming at us, what's happening, everything is now. We have these spurts, you know, where we have, we're not with a customer and all of a sudden we have 3 customers that are waiting to see us. We've all been there. And we have to figure out a way to make time for these things. And there's serious consequences if we don't. We were talking about it earlier, Paul and I and Spiro, when we were kind of reviewing this before we broadcast. And what came up was, it's, you know, we see people all the time in our business that apply 1 year of knowledge to a 10 or 15 or 20-year career. You know, that salesperson who within a year is selling 18 to 20 cars a month, and 10 years from now they're selling 18 to 20 cars a month. Or that F&I person who's been doing it for a long time, but their, you know, PVR and products per retail really hasn't changed much. If anything, their income kind of goes up and down a little bit, but it's not on a steady incline, and they're not evolving. Paul?
And there, you know, so you see a lot of times people get into a mediocre, what I'll call a mediocre section of their PVR situation. Maybe it's 1.8 products per retail, you just can't get to 2, or maybe it's $1,000 a car and they have the cruise on, and they're not really looking to move that much, but really a little bit of effort and a little bit of focus can move both those things dramatically. And John's been doing a lot with the people he's been in contact with since he's joined UDS, and we've seen some fantastic results because of the fact that people are focused in. And really mastering your time is helping you master your life, and that's what this really helps you do. And we've all been there. We've all been finance managers that we feel like we're buried. We're just covered up, going, we just can't keep up. This will help you get yourself into a position where you don't feel so stressed out. You can manage your tasks much more effectively, and you can be much more productive for the dealership and for yourself as far as income in the process.
Thanks, Paul. 3 is kind of important. Quadrant 3 is not important but urgent, and I kind of want to talk about this at length a little bit, because this is a spot where I see a lot of F&I people and a lot of sales managers in our business are stuck here. Quadrant things are things that require our attention right now, but they really don't help us achieve our goals. They're not important, but they're urgent. And what that means is they're usually an interruption from other people, and also involve us with a task that that kind of meets their goals and meets their priorities. And some of these things are, phone calls and text messages, or coworkers who need a favor, or somebody comes in and says, hey, can you tell me what's going on with this deal or that deal, or those types of things. Correcting information from a particular salesperson during a deal. We got the file, it's got some incorrect information, we're chasing it down. We do something that's not really in our responsibility, but it's easier for us to do it than getting the person who's responsible to do it. People getting walked into our office unannounced or unexpected.
Never happens.
When we're just about ready to have a customer come in that's been waiting for 45 minutes to an hour. Paperwork requests, some of the reports that we have to do, and some of the meetings that we have to go to. These things really aren't important, but they present themselves as urgent. And here's the thing, we spend too much time as F&I managers in this area. But the thing is that we mistake these things for, tasks that are urgent and important. And they're not. Because we're helping someone, because we're helping somebody, we feel like they are important. We feel like we're busy. They're tangible, which means I got that done, I handled that. But at the end of the day, it's a trap, because they're not, they may be important to others, but they're not important to you. And they don't help us grow. And you can tell when you're spending a lot of time in this area because you're tired, you're burnt out, you're not happy in your job, you're thinking about, I should be making more money because this is a lot of work, or I think the grass is greener down at ABC Motors. If those things are going through your head, chances are you take a good look and see if you're spending a lot of time doing this kind of stuff. And how you can figure out if you're spending too much time here is, when they let you go for lack of production, after you're gone, everybody's going to refer to you either as that nice guy that they just fired in F&I, or they're going to refer to you as that guy that always seemed to be overwhelmed, because we're spending all our time doing this stuff. Now, I'm not suggesting that you be a jerk, but what I am talking about is saying, hey, is this important now? Is it urgent and important? If it's not, I need to put it in its place. Somebody coming in and saying, what's going on with the Smith deal? I can't talk about that right now. I've got somebody coming in. When I finish with them, I'll get with you. Or, hey, can you get me this, or can you do that for me? One of the things about prioritizing that and saying, is this urgent and important? And if it doesn't meet that criteria and we put it off, chances are that person will go find somebody else's time and somebody else's to interrupt and get them to help them do it. And it never comes back to us. The other thing is that if we always jump to help everybody who comes into our office immediately, no matter what, guess who they're going to continue to come to all the time? They're going to come to you because we just taught them to do it.
One of the things in this quadrant is training. If you have people that are insufficiently trained, a lot of times they'll keep coming back because they don't know what they need to do or they don't have the skill set. And so from an F&I perspective, if you train your salespeople well to be kind of self-sufficient, you're going to find yourself a lot more usable time in your office that you can devote toward things that are more important to make you money.
Okay, let's move on. 4, not urgent, not important. These activities don't fit into either. They don't help us achieve our goals. Basically, these activities are just screwing around, but we'll refer to them as distractions. You know, personal texting or phone calls, internet searches not related to work, social media, you know, just BSing with people. These things all are not urgent and not important. And I understand that we have to be social at work, and you know we can't be working all the time. But think about it. If you know, for this equation, I'm using a 10-hour workday, and I know a lot of you work more than 10 hours a day, but 10's easier on the math. So you know, if you have a 10-hour day, 5% of your time equates to about 30 minutes. That means 30 minutes out of your day is completely non-productive time. Just shooting the breeze with people, being nice, talking, whatever it is. And, you know, these kind of distractions, you think 30 minutes out of your day, that's probably enough for an F&I professional. So, let's review. Q1 is important and urgent. You know, it's introducing ourselves, presenting, talking to the desk. Don't forget that we can take some of those things off of our list if we do a little planning. Everything that is important and urgent really needs to be focused around completing or creating a deal whenever possible. Those are really the only things at work that we do that are both important and urgent. We move into 2, not an urgent but important. These are the things that make us better at what we do. These are the things that help us make more money. These are the things that help us sustain growth over a period of time. And they're very important. And we have to prioritize these and not put them off to later because later may not come. And here's the one that's probably the most important out of all 3. And that's not important but urgent. And this is, like I said, this is where we spend our time. These things are productivity killers. Don't forget, these are the things that help other people achieve their goals and help other people achieve their priorities. And these are activities that usually are not our priority, but based on somebody else's. They're an interruption. We all know what they are. Here's a problem with these activities too, is that if we spend a lot of time in these activities, then we start to rationalize screwing around time. Because I've been working really hard, I need a break. Oh my gosh, I'm buried. I've been so busy today. I'm going to reward myself with some off time.
I've been doing this webinar. I got to go have a cigarette.
Whatever it is, we start to think, well, we deserve that extra time because we're spending all this time doing the stuff that's not productive. And then 4 is not urgent, not important. And that's, you know, all the things here. And you got to remember that if it's not urgent and not important, we shouldn't be doing it. And it really represents kind of a reverse gear to productivity. And as Nancy Reagan said, just say no to activities in Q4. So, when I ask yourself, am I doing this because it's important to my goals in F&I, or am I doing this because it's urgent?
Yeah.
If you can remember to ask yourself that question when somebody comes at you with something, it'll help you prioritize your time. It'll keep you from forgetting things, procrastinating. It really helps you put it into perspective of what you're doing. So, you know, focus as much time as possible on the not urgent but important tasks, which is training, planning, and development. And these things help you make more money, and they help you grow. And that'll help you be a little bit more like our friend Ike here.
Who saved the free world.
Who saved the free world, yes.
He was like an F&I manager with 4 deliveries waiting. The only problem was if he missed one of his put-togethers, something blew up.
So, comments or questions? I sure appreciate one or either. Anybody?
Time management is really critical in the F&I department, more so than really almost any other department in the dealership, other than maybe service advisors and schedule and service repairs. But you can really raise your level of effectiveness just by doing something minimally if you don't already do it, and that's making a task list and then prioritizing those tasks and doing them on a daily basis. When you walk in the dealership, having a routine that you go through, and having your task list so you can refer to it, so you make sure that you're getting things done and you're not missing anything. And then you're going to get distracted. There's no question about it. We're firefighters. We're always out on the front line, closing a deal, working with pulling credit, doing something. But as long as you have that task list to come back to, it's kind of like your menu presentation. When you have your word map, you can come back to it. When you have your task list, you can come back to it and continue to be effective. If you don't, you kind of get off course and then you end up wasting a lot of time. And we spend a lot of time in dealerships, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. If you just find yourself an extra 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of all that time you spend in a day for yourself to make yourself better or do something that will improve your overall situation in the dealership, it's definitely going to be a reward that you'll feel every single day of your life, and you'll be able to cash in on it. So I would highly recommend review it and make it your own, and make 2018 a better managed year and a more productive year as a consequence of better income year. And I think that's what all of us are here for. All right.
Let's. Anybody have any questions? I'm showing a couple of people with questions. Just unmute and ask if you'd like.
We do.
Hello. Hello. No? Comments? Can you hear me? Bueller? Bueller?
Bueller?
Okay.
Bueller?
Well, if we don't have any questions, then I guess we're done for today. I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to join us on the webinar. Feel free to email me at jtabor@udsdealerservices.com if you're interested in a copy of today's webinar, or if you have any questions, I'd be glad to help you any way I can. Anything?
Time is money. Let's find some extra time and you'll get some extra money.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.